Hello, and welcome to the weekly broadcast of Strategic Speaking for Results. I'm Elizabeth Bachman, your host, and today I'm talking about how to use strategic empathy strategically to be a better leader, and also about intentional diversity. I'm recording this during Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And last week, I sent out a newsletter with an article about celebrating the women I know, the AAPI sisters. But I realized as I was talking about things that you can do to help an Asian American businesswoman who is facing an extra kind of discrimination, I thought, I could just plug in any other minority, whether it's Black or Latinx or LGBT or female or anyone who's not sort of in the dominant majority. Anywhere you are, there is bias. We're all human. We all have unconscious bias. I do know that I've had some male colleagues who've been the only men in an all-female department and have been excluded from conversations. So it's not just men against women. We all do that. In thinking about this, though, I keep coming back to the first principles of putting yourself in the shoes of others. Use strategic empathy to be a better leader. And by that, I mean, take the time to learn where they're coming from. Take the time to ask about their background. For those of you who are working with me in the Visible and Valued Leadership Certification Program, this is where your personal story can be so useful. Your story about why it matters, why an issue matters to you, why you care about something, such as my client who was helping people with disaster relief and then said, yes, I pay attention to this because I lost my own home in Hurricane Katrina, for instance. She hadn't actually thought that was relevant. And once she started telling that story, people started listening. As using strategic empathy, don't forget to use it strategically. Too much empathy means that you give away your power and you lose your respect. If you are a leader, there's probably only so much socializing you can do with your team before they start questioning everything you do because they don't think you know what you're talking about. As a leader, one of the things that you can do is listen to people, acknowledge that you've heard them, and if what they've told you helps you think about it differently, say thank you. But then you can also say, I pledge to tell you the background and why I'm thinking something if I have time to do it. You don't always have time. So for those of you who work for leaders who make decisions and don't explain why, that's not their job to tell you why. If you can use strategic empathy with your leadership and try to think about why they do what they do, then maybe it's not personal. That's another thing that relational people, women especially, often the multi-focused people, will take it as a personal affront if someone is not telling them all the background. And it just may be they don't have time and they've got other things going on that you don't know about. That happens. Use your empathy strategically, put yourself in their shoes. It's probably not personal. We know from statistics that the more teams have diverse voices, the better the decisions wind up being, and the more profits the company makes, especially at an upper level, the more there are diverse voices. So it's a good business practice to pay attention to what others are saying and to think about it. be empathetic. Don't be too empathetic so that you give away your power, but try to find out where people are coming from and tell them that you're listening and that you might not have time to explain everything that's going on, and that's fine. I had a leader say to me once, I was in the part of a large organization and I was a fairly small piece of it. And my leader said, you don't need to know that. My job is to shelter you so you can move ahead and get on with what what you want to do. And when I thought about it that way, I thought, oh, I don't necessarily have to be in charge. I can let him do that part and just focus on what's my job. So that was a huge help for me. Being strategic about it, acknowledge people, notice what they're doing, try to think about where they're coming from, see if you can put yourself in their shoes. But then ultimately, your job is to produce the results. If you bring your team on as willing participants and enroll them in the idea of coming with you and helping, it will all be better. And maybe the diverse ideas and different points of view, they might be good ideas, they might not be, but as long as people feel heard and acknowledged, I believe that they will feel like they are valued members of your organization. And that will make you a better leader. This has been Elizabeth Bachman, Strategic Speaking for Results. I'll see you on the next one.